Hey everyone, welcome of the Spark Change Challenge, and please don't disconnect on me now. That would be that would be about right, but no. All right, I think we're good. We'll find out. Yes, last day of the Spark Change Challenge. 31 days in. At least 4 goes through the domains, the Sparks domains, the Sparks protocol. I haven't decided what I'm going to end up calling it yet, but I've definitely decided that it's something I'm going to continue to apply and continue to share with my clients and with my supervisees, and hopefully share with you guys again in another version of this challenge at some point down the track. We will see. Maybe there'll be like a Spark Christmas Change challenge or something. I have no idea. I'm going to give myself a couple of weeks before I start launching anything else. But tonight's final session or final run through of domain is on spontaneity and entertainment. And I did have something else in mind, but as the theme is spontaneity and entertainment, I changed it all when I finished my last session with a client this afternoon, and thought I might share this instead, because I think, again, oddly, it's sort of it's kind of encapsulated all of the bits and pieces about the Spark Change Challenge that I was hoping to talk about. So I'll do the final live stream. Well, I'll do a live stream into the group tomorrow afternoon, evening as well. That will be sort of summing up the whole challenge. And I thought tonight I'll just stick to spontaneity and entertainment with a little bit of an integration of why I think this example tonight is such a good illustration of the Spark Change protocol in action. And then tomorrow night we'll do a bit of a summation once I've had time to gather my thoughts and share my massive self-care news with you all. But for tonight, spontaneity and entertainment. So, as many of you know, and we reached 900 members. So there's 900 people in this group. So not all of you will know that I'm a clinical psychologist and a board-approved supervisor, and I currently run 12-Point Psychology, which is a group private practice with locations in Ferntree Gully and Bayswater in Melbourne. I'm also an animal-assisted therapist and have been for about 10 years. At the moment, I'm working with 2 of our trained therapy dogs, Rory and Winston, and I've started to introduce our newest dog, Sophie, into the mix. She hasn't had any formal training yet. She was a rescue, and honestly at first it was just introducing her to a couple of my clients who work with dogs, just to give her that socialization, that positive socialization experience, start to increase her feelings of safety around new people and that kind of thing. So it was more therapy for her than it was for the clients at first. But she took to it very, very quickly and very, very well. It turns out she's very switched on and very attuned to people's feelings, which makes sense. When you grow up in a traumatic environment, you get very good at reading people. You get very good at reading the mood in the room and trying to figure out if it's safe to open your mouth or not. And I think that's what's happened with Sophie. And because so many of my clients come from trauma backgrounds, they just resonate with her so well. It's a similar sort of thing as it was with Jersey, but Jersey was more confident than Sophie even at the beginning. So we've got this, very timid, still sometimes very shut down dog, and these clients with trauma histories working together, and there's been some truly beautiful moments. But today, as fate would have it, I was working with a child who is neurodivergent and really struggles with interoception skills and regulation, and I think he doesn't spend a lot of time feeling safe. He doesn't spend a lot of time feeling contained and comfortable. And we know that when we don't feel safe, when we don't feel comfortable, spontaneity just goes out the window. The ability to be spontaneous, to play, to muck around. If we're not feeling safe and secure, we don't explore our environment. We don't try new things because it doesn't feel safe. And we were, I was working with Sophie in a little bit of a, like, we do some sort of projective work, you know, how do you think Sophie might be feeling, and, you know, what might increase her feeling of safety right now, and that sort of thing. And trying some co-regulation exercises. So one of my favorite activities as an animal assisted therapist is getting people to see how quickly dogs will tune in to your nervous system and to your emotional state, and how quickly it will alter their emotional state. Because humans and dogs co-evolved together for like 40,000 years, we have a lot of our systems read each other very well. So if you have a kid with ADHD, for example, who's always at a 10 and always kind of jumping out of his skin, and that's starting to get on other people's nerves, you might bring Winston in, who is my easily hyped dog, get him up to a 10, get the kid to experience him at a 10, what that feels like, and then start to come up with ways of how we can calm Winston's system down a little bit. Kid starts doing that as well. Kid starts to get that experience of regulation. So very quick run through of a basic AAT task. But what we were doing in today's session was trying to work on ways to increase Sophie's feelings of safety. She really likes this kid. She already feels very comfortable and safe with him. But you could still see there's that, you know, 90% of her brain is going, yeah, I like this kid. He can pat me. It's good. And 10% of her brain was just keeping an ear out and an eye out of like, okay, but at the first sign of trouble, I'm out of here. And the child is very good at picking up on these signals in Sophie, much better at picking them up in Sophie than he is in himself, and was doing a beautiful job of modulating his voice, modulating his touch, and even modulating his breathing. All things that he knows helps to calm her down and helps her to feel more safe. So as he's doing all of this, and you can see Sophie starting to really relax. You can see both of the ears are relaxing more. She's not keeping as much of her brain on, wait, what's that? Waiting for the next thing to drop. She's feeling safer. She's feeling calmer. She laid down. There were belly rubs involved. It was terrible. That was gorgeous. And Rory decided that, you know, the interloper had enough time with the child, and she was going to come in and sort of show Sophie how it was done. So she came over and started to go into her sort of like little greeting pattern of behaviours that she does. And the child knows and loves Rory as well. So, hey Rory, how you going? And giving her pats. And Sophie was like, no, wait, what's happening? Came over and started trying to hump Rory, which is not ideal. First time in over a year and a half, she has exhibited any kind of humping, excitement, dominance, none of, like, just not on the radar at all. Have not seen a hint of it, not the slightest hint. In fact, the only reason I knew that that's what she was doing is because I know her quite well. It didn't even kind of look like a regular hump. It was very much looking like a dog trying to figure out how to hump. And I just gave her a voice redirect and got her to look at me, and she came over, and she was still a bit hyped up. You could see she was a little bit sort of agitated. And as I went to calm her down again, the child went to pat Rory, and again she's like, no, I want the pats. So she tried to do it again, and I had to issue a little bit more of a sterner voice command of like, no, you need to come over here. We're not doing this. But the reason I'm telling you the story of my my untrained therapy dog in session trying to hump one of the other dogs in front of a small child is it was spontaneous. It was her trying to figure some shit out. It was her going, I've got all of these feelings bundling up and I don't entirely know what to do with them, so let's try this and see what happens. She would not have done that had she not felt safe. This is why we have not seen it in a year and a half. we're getting into the point now, safety is increasing to the point where we're seeing a lot more spontaneous behaviours. You know, she tried to gnaw on a coffee table a couple of weeks ago. She keeps trying to steal blankets and shirts and stuff at the moment. We're starting to see all of these behaviours coming out where she's just like, let's see what happens if I do this. She's feeling safe enough to be spontaneous. And where it ties into the other, some of the other domains, I think, is then in our response to that. When we try something spontaneous, when we try something, whether it works or not. My response to Sophie was a redirection and a correction and like a, no, we don't do that behaviour. Especially not in front of small children. But at no point was there anger. At no point was there, you stupid dog. At no point was there a telling off. You know, it was a redirection away from a behaviour that was unsuitable or not appropriate or not the right behaviour at the right time or whatever. But it was not a personal attack or critique or anything at all like that. And that comes into when we think about kindness and nurturance for ourselves and our response when we try something. So if we're trying something like this challenge and we're trying to increase safety and we're trying to focus more on spontaneity, we've got to allow that sometimes we're going to screw it up. I'm not saying you're going to try and hump someone like that. But we're going to screw up. We're going to do things because it's the first time, we haven't done it before, and we're going to get them wrong. But our response to that is the thing that's going to either increase or decrease that safety further. If I had yelled at her or gotten angry, or she would have felt that, she would have taken that on board as I'm a bad dog, instead of, oh, I'm doing something that they don't really want me to do. And it's exactly the same thing that we do to ourselves. That kindness and nurturance, at the end of the day, it's about how is my response, what is my response teaching me about what I've done versus who I am? What is my response teaching me about or setting me up for in terms of being willing to try something new next time? And sometimes I'm going to do something new and it's going to be awesome. You know, Sophie has started coming up for ear scratches and butt scratches, and she started sniffing our faces more, and she's like, oh, this stuff is good. And we see that spontaneous behavior, we capture that spontaneous behavior and reward it. Good girl, good girl, good girl. We encourage that spontaneity and testing out. Yeah, Matt's just commented safety versus authenticity. Absolutely. For a lot of us, we weren't safe enough to be our authentic selves. We weren't provided that environment where our behavior might be corrected without it being attached to anger or sort of personal critique. And it has a really big impact on how we talk to ourselves moving forward and how likely we are to give something a go, to try something new, to do something that might feel a little bit silly or a little bit stupid, or that we just don't know how it's going to turn out. And this is why I think this is how all of those sparks are connected. The relationships and the connection with other people helps to increase that safety, helps to give you boundaries. You know, if you're in a relationship with someone that you trust and they say, you know what, that was probably a bit much, you probably shouldn't have tried to hump the dog. That's a very different response, and that's a very different outcome from someone going, oh my God, what's wrong with you? You're disgusting. Which would be the equivalent of, you know, screaming at her for trying something out. The kindness and the nurturance, our response to trying something new and it not going to plan or turning out not to be the way that we wanted it to go. And that very much fits in with the physical health, trying something new in terms of our physical health, signing up for the gym if that's what you want to do. Or I got someone filling out the survey last night who's like, my biggest thing was just making sure that I was drinking enough water. So I purchased a fancy water bottle and I've been drinking, and I was really worried I was going to screw it up. But meeting yourself with kindness on the day, okay, I didn't drink all of my water today. that's okay. That's the behavior wasn't what I wanted, but it doesn't change who I am as a person. And being able to see trying and not succeeding and trying and succeeding as achievement all in its own right. So I'm incredibly proud of Sophie and what she did today. Well, not exactly what she did today, but the reason that she did it, that she was trying something new, that that the client and I had created an environment in which she felt safe enough to try out something new and see what happened. I see that as an achievement. I see that as a massive achievement. Yes, the behavior wasn't ideal, wasn't what ultimately that we're going to want, but the intent behind it and what it meant, what it was demonstrating, that's massive. That's huge. So if we can think about spontaneity and safety in these ways as the safety allowing us to be spontaneous, responding with kindness, increasing the safety, which allows us to be more spontaneous, which allows us then to register and acknowledge more achievements, because we're physically, mentally, whatever, we're going to be doing more stuff that could be an achievement rather than getting insular and never doing anything in case we fail, because failure is worse and horrible and will set out the critic. If failure is just giving it a go, seeing what happens, and responding with kindness, it doesn't diminish the achievement. It creates an achievement, whereas previously there was none, and there was not even the opportunity for achievement. So that's my on the fly pulling together of the sparks and a story of, yes, spontaneity gone a little bit awry in an AAT session, but ultimately I think pointing to something really important about all of this stuff, that they are all connected. You can't kind of work on one domain without it having an impact on the others. And that's really comforting to me, that it's the more I think about it in these terms, the less it becomes, okay, you need to have a massage this week, and if you do that, then it's all cleared. No, it's that whole approach. It's little habits in each of the domains all working together to create that change, to the point where, actually I hadn't thought about that one before, but with some of those survey responses, some of you have said some very nice things about the challenge. Thank you very much. That is lovely. And I'm just realizing that when I was reading them today, normally when someone compliments me on something, I find it uncomfortable. I get a little bit like, oh, yeah, no, that's fine, and we change the subject. I didn't do that today. I read those and I felt very happy, and I felt very, very proud, and I didn't diminish it. I had a bit of a Barbie moment. It was almost like yeah, that was good. So yeah, okay, that's a pretty good takeaway. If the challenge has done nothing else, for me at least, that's a pretty big shift. That would not have happened a month ago. That would definitely not have happened a month ago. I always find that a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit weird, but I just took that as like, yeah, that's good. All right, so there's my pre and post outcome measure. Yeah, that's really interesting. But keep the survey results coming in. That has been fabulous to read and to see. I'll share some of those results into the group over the next couple of weeks as well. And I suppose the next thing to think about is I kind of want to repackage this as like a little bit of a self-paced program that people can work through, at their own pace, that they're not having to tune in to like these live streams and read the emails every day. They can just kind of pace themselves. And I'll use the feedback that you guys are giving me in that survey to create that package as well. Thank you very much for joining me this month. It has been incredibly illuminating. It has been quite humbling, just in terms of how many bits and pieces that still need work and that I am still working on. But in how many people seem to be connecting with this material and with what it might mean for self-care for them. That's pretty awesome. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening for the summation, and with whatever this challenge looks like, whatever this sort of package looks like down the track. I hope you continue to get use out of this material and continue to find it helpful, and I will see you all next time.